All right, y'all ready to pour over your takeoff process today? We're back with our next impact drill session today, focusing on concrete takeoff, so we can strike that sweet spot of accuracy and efficiency. My name is Jake Elmhorst, and I'm the Academy Event Specialist here at Construct Connect, also an on-screen takeoff and quick bid product specialist. So we'll be getting into on-screen takeoff today so we can get our concrete takeoff prepped and ready for quick bid, so we can then add all of our material and labor to that. So just a couple of quick reminders. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that way you can comment on the video throughout the session today. So I'll try to answer as many questions as I can throughout the session. Had a lot of great questions last month, so see if we get some more good questions coming in today. Obviously, we're focusing on concrete takeoff today, and yeah, obviously hit that subscribe button so that way you can get notified about our other videos that we're posting. Our team does a great job of posting new and updated videos all the time, so that way you have the most updated training videos for on-screen takeoff, quick bid, DPC, and they also do our other products as well. So go ahead and put those comments and questions into the chat. So today, like I said, we are focusing on on-screen takeoff, and we're going to look at some of the condition setup for concrete. So that way, you know, some of the typical stuff we're doing, types, layers, putting the height in there. But what quantity results do we need for that takeoff and getting that over to quick bid? Then putting some of those notes in there, making sure you have all the details that you need. And then some of the specific conditions that we're going to talk about are slab on grade, then our continuous footings. We'll talk about some piers and things as well, some pad footing, might throw in a little bit of curb and gutter in there. So see how much we can hit today. And then of course, we're going to talk about zones. If you have not used zones, going to be a great tool to add when you are dealing with concrete, especially if you are needing to do phases or your pour schedule. So that way you can break up that large slab into those different areas where bid areas doesn't give you that ability to separate that takeoff into separate areas or zones. So we're going to go ahead and move over to on-screen takeoff, and going to get my picture off of here so you can get a better view of that screen there, just looking at our on-screen takeoff there. So we're looking at completed project here, at least this foundation. So we're going to work our way back through and go through setting up some of these conditions, doing some of this takeoff, but wanted you to kind of see where we're headed with this session. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my next page here, and we'll have a blank page. So when I get started on this blank page, as always, you want to check and verify that scale. So I'm going to zoom in down here and check my scale. Got my 330 seconds, 330 seconds, that is set. And then just verifying that with our linear dimension, just any of those marked out measurements on that page, making sure that that is coming out correct before we get in and start doing any of that actual takeoff. Now, once we have that scale set, and obviously we've gone through, we've looked at our plan, we know the details about this project and what we're going to do. So we're going to take a look at some of our conditions. Now, I already have conditions created. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about the setup of these before I go in and do that actual takeoff. So I'm going to open up my foundation condition. So I'm going to double click on that and pull up that, could be called slab on grade, foundation, whatever you want to call that. So I've got a name in there. I have my type and my layer. Now, if you aren't using layers already, that is going to be a great thing to include and add into there. That gives you the ability to turn on and off your different conditions and takeoff. And so we'll see what that looks like in a second here, but just we'll set those the same. Your type, your layer, because you're really going to want to turn those off together. Now, doesn't mean you have to do that, but that is a great option to use those the same. Now, with our slab or our foundation, we need to add the thickness. That is going to give us the ability to figure out the volume of that concrete. And so this one is set at 5.5 inches. And so once I have that set, choose your color if you want anything in particular, and then looking at your quantity results. So This will, some of this is going to be important in making sure that it is correct for QuickBid, the way that those items are set up in QuickBid already. Now, you can always change the way that you want some of the which quantity results they're looking at, but if you have purchased one of our databases, what we'll talk about today is how the majority of those items are what they're going to be looking at in on-screen takeoff, what quantity results you need to have set. And then if you don't have QuickBid, we'll talk about a few things of what you might want to do differently in OST to get some of those results that you may not be getting in QuickBid. So quantity one, by default, an area condition is going to be area. And really the default quantity one, the result, you're going to want to leave that as is for most items going from on-screen takeoff into QuickBid. So with this area, you're going to leave that result as quantity one. Quantity two, we're going to set that to perimeter. Now that for concrete, that's going to be used for your forms. So that's going to give you your linear feet of form work that you need. So the items in QuickBid are going to be looking for quantity two for that form work. And then if you have anything else that you want to add into that, you always can. But quantity two, perimeter for form work, and then quantity three, volume. Pretty much every item in QuickBid is going to be looking at quantity three for the volume. So just make sure that that is what you're setting to quantity, or setting quantity three to when you are creating those conditions. So we've got that set to volume. And then this will default to cubic feet. Typically want to change that to cubic yards. Now, once we have all of those results that we need, we're going to put in the notes any other information that we need, and that way you'll be able to know exactly what material and labor items need to go into QuickBid. And so when you get that over to QuickBid, you have those notes. Now, if you don't have QuickBid, so this first one here, that for my rebar, number 3, 16 inches on center each way, if I don't have QuickBid, I can set up either in this condition or another condition, and I can turn on the grid and have OST calculate my linear feet of rebar. Now, this, we have an item in QuickBid that only needs the area, and it's going to then figure out how much rebar we need. But if you want to do that grid, we'll look at one of those items in a second. Then I've got my vapor barrier, I've got my gravel, and I've got my my concrete, my 5,000 PSI mix. Any other notes, any other details that you need to add in there, all that material and all the labor that goes along with that is going to be added in QuickBid. I don't need separate conditions for all of these in OST. One condition, QuickBid's going to do the rest of the work. Well, like I said, we'll get to that next month, not next week. So next month we'll do our QuickBid side of the concrete takeoff, and then so we'll be doing the estimating then. So I have that item set up. I've got the results that I need, and then just like any of our other takeoff, I'm going to go and click my way around that foundation. And so I'm just going to click at each corner, and as I'm clicking my way around, we're seeing that foundation go into place. And oh, and I actually should have double clicked there. So let me hit the escape key to remove that last click, and then double click right there to finish that out. And so then I have my slab. Oh, and actually I did miss that. So I was going about that the right way, but I can always add a couple drag points in there. If you guys haven't done this, just hover right over the edge and you can click, and you see that little plus there, and adding in some extra drag points. So that way I can say, here we go, that actually goes there, and bring this one back a little bit there, and hover over that point and drag that out. So if you make a mistake, don't have to delete the whole thing and come back and redo it. Now, if I wanted to do my slab and my rebar at the same time, so I went through, I just had one item, I clicked my way around. Now I need to take my rebar. So if I was doing that rebar separately, this, I have my grid set. I've turned on the grid on the advanced tab. I have it set to 16 inches by 16 inches. And then I'm showing grid length visible. So one of my quantity results, grid length visible, and that's going to give me my linear feet of grid for my rebar. Now, if I don't want to have to go back and click my way around, what I could have done, I'm going to just delete the foundation that I put in there. I'm going to hold the control key and I'm going to click on my rebar and my foundation. So now I have both of those selected and I can do multi-condition takeoff, do both of them at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and throw in my continuous footing in there as well. We'll come back and look at the results of that, how we have that set up. But I'm going to do all three of those at the same time, so I don't have to come back and do one, then the other, and keep working my way back through. So I'm just going to click my way around. And now you'll notice when I have multi-condition takeoff, I don't see the color kind of popping in there right away. I just have those red lines, the red dashed lines where I am clicking my way around. But then once I double click to finish that out, then we'll see all of that drop into place. So now I have my continuous footing, and I've got my rebar. So I did all three of those at the same time, and I'm just using my undo button there to put everything back where it goes. And so now I don't have to go back and re-click all the way around and redo all of that. I did everything all at the same time. So let's go ahead and open up that continuous footing. Double click on there. So I've got my name in there, got my type and my layer in place. And then when I'm putting that continuous footing in, I always kind of just make caution of the naming of this, because when you think of thickness for concrete, you're typically thinking of the depth, how deep that concrete is. This is actually how wide that footer is. So just kind of the one thing to be aware of when you're putting those dimensions in, this thickness is how wide it is, how wide it's going to look as you put it on the plan. The height is actually, that's the depth, how deep that concrete is going to be. So this footer is 1 foot wide and 2 foot deep. Now, if you flip-flop those numbers, you're still going to get the same result. It's figuring out the volume. It's still going to be the right total. It just might look the wrong size when you put it on the page. So it might throw you off if you do flip-flop those numbers around. Now, it's always good to make sure that those are correct, because that's a quick indicator if your scale is off, if it doesn't look the right size. So just always good to make sure that you know where those numbers are going as you're entering those. Now, again, this one is flipped around a little bit in comparison to how we typically have a linear. So quantity 1 right now is that surface area, because typically that's going to be linear feet first. And then volume, quantity 3, that's still going to be quantity 3, but the surface area, could be used for your finishing, or, if you need that square footage number for your concrete. Length, you're going to use that for your formwork. And then in QuickBid, you'll add a layer of 2, so that way you've got both sides of that footer. So you've got all of those quantity results, and then we have all those totals, got our notes in there, and we'll go ahead and click OK. And we already put that footer in place. So just checking our questions here. Yeah, nothing so far. Just, it'll be recorded on our YouTube channel. Always come back, take a look at this if you have to take off and miss any of it. One other thing that you may need to add in here is, and you probably saw it on the other page, if I jump back to there, we had our control joints or your saw cuts. So you could do that just as a linear item, just draw those in there, or you could use the grid as well if you want to just set those to a certain on-center spacing and then adjust that grid. So a couple options there. And then on this page, we've got some piers, and we have, so this one is set like a bell-bottom pier. That one, you're just kind of doing an average with that bottom section. There's not a way in OST to, create that actual bell-bottom shape. So you're doing the main part of the pier as one item or as one condition, and then that bell bottom as a separate. It is just calculating as a normal cylinder, but calculating that correct volume for that bell bottom. So you're just giving that a different dimension to match the volume that you need. And then there we could do the multi-condition takeoff, where you select both of them and then you click those both in place at the same time. So saving you the hassle of going through clicking one of them and then going back and clicking all the other ones. So giving you a little quicker there to get that put in place. All right, and then another one we don't have set up on here that's going to be very similar to the piers. We could do a pad footer, and so I'll go ahead and set up a pad footer. So we're going to go ahead and click the plus, like we're creating a new condition. We're going to do this as a count, and we're going to say this is a pad footer. We'll say 3 foot by 3 foot, and we'll say it is 2 feet deep. Oops. There we go. And we'll put this in our footers. And again, if we want to put it in a layer, we'll put that in our footers layer as well. And so now, since this is a square, I'm going to leave that shape set to square, and I can just put that 3 feet in the width, and then the height, that's going to be our depth. I know, like I said, it's a little making sure that that naming convention makes sense. So I'm going to put that 2 feet in there. And so again, this is where you can decide, depending on what items you're going to use in QuickBid to calculate this out, if you want to change this to surface area top or bottom. So it'll be giving you your results very similar to a square footage item or an area condition. So that way you've got your surface area as quantity 1. We could still do our perimeter as quantity 2 around that pad footer, and then our volume as quantity 3, and we'll change that to cubic yards. Now, again, we could do this as we can, again, put in our notes, whatever our concrete is, whatever our rebar that's going in here, what the on-center spacing is. QuickBid's going to take that, figure out the amount of rebar that you need, what concrete you need, any vapor barrier, all of that can then be calculated in QuickBid. And so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And all this is just a point and click. Go ahead and point and click, and put those in place. And you have those pad footers, piers, the same concept. You're just setting that up as a count item. You're getting your, now on these, a little different, because you're getting, I set that to that surface area for top or bottom. Probably won't use that quite the same with your piers, but you're getting your volume. You can have a count in there. You can get just several different results that you can utilize for getting the totals that you need with that takeoff. Now, one thing that we didn't take a look at down here, we have an elevator shaft, and if this is going to have a thicker foundation, we need to do this differently than just the main foundation of this, the rest of the building. Now, I could just draw an extra condition to go over top of there to add the extra amount, or what I can do is do a backout. And so I'm going to go ahead and up on the top right, I have my backout mode, and then I'm just going to click and drag, and it's going to back out that foundation. Now I haven't let go. Up on the top left, my concrete foundation, I'm at 21,328. When I let go, I'm now at 21,248. So that just removed the square footage and the and the volume from that. Now, if I need to remove my rebar, I just clicked again. So now you can see I'm selected on my rebar, and make sure that I'm selected on my backout mode. And then I'm going to click and drag and back out my rebar as well. Now from there, I can go ahead and do my I can do my my footing. So I've got my elevator footing, got my concrete for the elevator. Now, if I needed to put my rebar, in there as well, I could, do that separately. But I went ahead and selected all 3 of those, and we can. I'm going to just click and drag and draw that rectangle in there, and put all 3 of those in place at the same time. So utilizing that back out to remove some of that square footage from one condition and then go ahead and switch it over to the other condition. All right. So let's say we've got our foundation done, but we need to create our pour schedule, or we need to, set up our phasing. So that way we can figure out exactly how much concrete is going into each portion of this building as we're going to be doing that. Like I mentioned, if we do bid areas, I can't separate this out. I drew all of this takeoff as one piece of takeoff. I can't put that in two separate bid areas. Bid areas, it would all be one. I would have to break that into pieces now, which I could do that with my split area. But if I don't want to have to go through that process of splitting it and then reassigning it, what we can do is use our zones. So I'm going to click on zones up at the top of my conditions tab, click on the plus, and I'm going to give this, let's just say pour one. I can give it a different color, put any notes in there if I need to. Go ahead and click OK. And then I'm going to add pour two right away. And so I'm going to start with my first one, and I'm just going to click, and I'm going to go straight across the middle, and I'm just going to click a box around one side of that. And then I double click to finish that out. And then I'm going to go to pour two. And I'm not going to try to match them up right now. I'll come back and match them up because I don't want to, leave out some of my takeoff. Just going to make sure that I go beyond the edge down at the bottom. And then we'll double click and finish that out. Now I'm going to hit my space bar to go back to my select tool. And then I'm just going to zoom in here, and I'm just going to take this and drag that up until those two meet. Because I can't have a zone. The zones don't cross each other. They have to be. It's one, in one or the other. Bid areas, you can have those items intermingled, but like we said, since this is one large piece of takeoff, and then also my footers are going, down the sides, I'm splitting that into those two different zones as well. So, just making sure that I'm just kind of sliding that together to make sure that that is all being encompassed by either phase one, phase two, or pour one, pour two. And that's all I have to do. Now I have that broken up into my two different pours. So let's take a look at our takeoff tab. And I'm going to go ahead and group that by bid area or by zone. Now I've got a bunch of other stuff in here. We have, other stuff in this project, but I'm really just going to look down here at my pour one and pour two. And so now I am seeing all of my quantities for my pour one and pour two. I have everything: rebar, foundation, footers, pad footing, and, same concept in my pour two. All of that information broken out. Now, this is going to go into QuickBid. It will import and look just like a bid area does in QuickBid. And so it's set up as a zone, but it is going into QuickBid as the same way that your bid areas do. And then you can get your pricing breakdown or do your material breakdown all based on that zone / bid area once you get that over to QuickBid. All right, so I think we've kind of hit everything I had intended on today. If you have any questions, think of anything, I'll take another minute or two here as we finish up. But throw those questions into the comments on YouTube there, so you can ask those questions if we have anything coming in. I haven't seen any questions other than just being recorded. Yep, always come back to YouTube. This session will be there on our with the other live sessions there. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my slides here and just take a look at some of our other upcoming sessions that we have. So every Wednesday, except for the last Wednesday, because that's when we're here live on YouTube, but we do our Bid Like a Boss every Wednesday. So coming up April 2nd, we have bid management. So our team will be talking about some of the best practices with that. April 9th, we'll be looking at AI in construction. So obviously AI is a big keyword right now. Everybody's talking about it, but what is Construct Connect doing? What is the construction industry in general doing? How are we incorporating AI into what we are trying to do to make your job a little bit easier? Then April 23rd, we'll be back talking about QuickBid. And then the following week will be our our concrete estimating, talking about QuickBid. So get QuickBid a couple weeks in a row there. So definitely check those out. And then in May, we'll be looking at the On-Screen Takeoff and Takeoff Boost roadmap, kind of seeing where we are headed with OST and Takeoff Boost. So definitely check that Bid Like a Boss session out. And then you got our YouTube live sessions there. Like I said, we'll be doing estimating in QuickBid next month, and then we'll be looking at painting, starting with our painting takeoff and then estimating. Then any of you that have any of our takeoff products, so On-Screen Takeoff, QuickBid, QuoteSoft Duct and Pipe, and PlanSwift, we do in-person classroom training once a quarter. So our next one is in Washington, D.C., May 13th to the 16th. On-Screen Takeoff and QuickBid are sold out already. That one was going quick, but we will have more coming up in the fall, so make sure to keep an eye out for those. Those will be announced pretty soon. But we still have openings for QuoteSoft Duct and Pipe and PlanSwift for that May session if you are interested in that. So, all right, if you need more training, have more questions, need more help, several different ways you can contact with our team. So obviously we got our customer success number there, technical support if it seems to be more of an issue rather than takeoff question. And then otherwise, if it is a takeoff related question, need help using a feature or something in the software, make sure to go to that training tab, click on that, how do I fill out that form that submits a ticket to our team, and someone from the training team will reach out to you. And then if you haven't scheduled your custom training sessions, make sure to get those scheduled, get in those sessions with our team and really dig into what you need within the software. And then of course, check out all of our training videos on YouTube. So these, like I said, these sessions are saved on our YouTube channel, but then all the other pre-recorded videos that our team does, just anything that you need in On-Screen Takeoff, QuickBid, a lot of different great videos to utilize. So make sure to check those out. And any feedback that you have, you can feel free to reach out to our team, academy@constructconnect.com. So didn't see any questions coming into the chat. So thank you all for joining today. Hopefully answered, any questions that you had, and that's why I didn't put any into the chat. Got everything answered already. So thank you all for joining the session today. Have a great rest of your day. And remember, construction starts here.